So NVIDIA is up by 15% since the lows this week. And for the reasons that I discussed in this video, I believe there is a significant chance for a sell on the news next week. In other words, I believe the market is anticipating great, I wouldn't say results because they will not present any financial results during the GTC event. But I believe the market is pricing in a lot of positivity from the Blackwell Ultra, as well as from the new generation of chips from NVIDIA. And I believe that all this 15%, it will reverse next week. Let's go into the details. So let me start first with some of the articles that I'm seeing online. We have a lot of analysts, big boy analysts from big firms, stating that, buying the dip could be an interesting idea. Things will turn around. Particularly, this analyst from Wedbush was saying that this GTC conference will be a game changer for the market, not just for NVIDIA, I believe for most of the tech stocks, according to the article. And it says that, they're being battered by tariff concerns, recession fears, and overall negativity. And it says that it could be a turning point. Well, more analysts saying the same, in this case from Wells Fargo, big boy analysts, so respect for them. However, I'm not sharing their opinions. And the main reason is because I believe the S&P and the overall economy will continue to decline in the US up until, I would say, the third quarter of this year. I have another video where I go into details, and I'm not predicting a crash. It will be just a correction. However, I think it's way too early to buy the dip. In any case, let's continue because I have a lot of tabs, a lot of information. So this analyst is saying that historically, yeah, NVIDIA shares have outperformed the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index in the weeks surrounding this GTC event. So, NVIDIA has averaged 6.4% return during the week of the GTC and 4.5 in the 2 weeks following the event. Now, in the past 5 years, call me crazy, but I don't think we had an event like what we have now. I'm not sure if he's taking into account the event in 2020. I don't even know if there was an event in 2020. I will be honest, because, March, pandemic, and in 2022, there was, of course, people were fearing a recession, but there was a correction. As a side note, I believe that's what is going to happen this year. A lot of profit taking and a lot of uncertainty that's bringing the share price down. And I believe somehow all this is going to be cleared by the end of the year. So I believe the new administration will reach an agreement with the other countries, Mexico, Canada, Europe. I believe the turmoil is going to disappear. Let's move on. So we have the comparison between that Philadelphia Semiconductor Index and NVIDIA. So what I find quite interesting is, the spike since, I would say it's actually the 12th of March. If you go to NVIDIA's chart, you can see a significant spike on the 12th. Interestingly enough, that was when Intel pitched the joint venture, Taiwan Semiconductors pitched the joint venture to NVIDIA. I think Broadcom was there as well. Micron, I think. You will see in a moment. I have an article somewhere in regards to that. So, of course, the share price jumped by over 6% on that announcement alone. And from there, it continued the upward trajectory. Great. So, yeah, my point is that I think this is going to correct downwards. Now, if you zoom out, credit to NVIDIA, because the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index is a straight line, horizontal line in this chart compared to NVIDIA's returns. So yeah, great. Moving on. So the GTC event, Tuesday, 18th of March, we got no other than Jensen Huang presenting during the event. I believe he's going to be presenting the Blackwell Ultra series, as well as the Ruby. So we got, I think it should be around one of these tabs. I will go into more details into those products, but there is a lot of anticipation for those two releases. Here, this talk, Tuesday, March 11th, I believe the market will move. Where? I presume downwards. Although, of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to short. Absolutely not recommend you to do anything with NVIDIA. I'm not a financial advisor. However, I still believe that there's going to be a sell on the news. So yeah, let's move on to more information as to why I believe that's the case. So we got here, and actually the details. The other one was the Rubin. I forgot the name, by the way, earlier. So Rubin is the AI chip maker. It's not a chip maker, sorry. It's an AI chip that NVIDIA is developing. So they're going to present that in the event. Next, we have, of course, a Quantum Day. Yeah. And no other, hosted by the CEO, Jensen Huang, as well as other industry leaders. Do you remember what happened in January with quantum stocks and this guy and, you know, the CES event? Well, he just said a few words that tanked the entire quantum sector, if you call it like that. It's only 4 stocks, but you see what I mean. So during the event at the CES, he said, you know, if you said 15 years for useful quantum computers, that would be probably on the early side. 30 years, it's on the late side. And he said 20, a whole bunch of us would believe it. So I believe he's quite skeptic based on this last sentence. I believe he's quite skeptic on quantum computers, which is fine. You know, there are 2 types of computers. We have the gate-based and then the annealing computers that D-Wave is developing. So I understand his skepticism, and I believe, well, you will see here, I believe that this could be, I'm not sure if it's going to be a debate. I really don't know, but considering this guy, you probably know him. I mean, I'm sure you know D-Wave's CEO, who, by the way, after Jensen Huang made a statement on January 7th, earlier this year, he said that this guy is dead wrong. So I like this CEO. I really appreciate a CEO that's not afraid to go in the media and to defend his company in these kind of uncertain moments when, you know, investors panic sell off. I like the guy. I really like that initiative. Also, I'm shorting QPTS. Not advice. Don't follow me. My bet can absolutely blow in my face. So don't follow me. But, you know, earnings were legit. I like that. I will do another video on D-Wave. However, this doesn't make much sense. And I believe, again, the price is speeding up in anticipation of this event. After the event or during the event, you know, I don't think it's going to stay there, especially not in a bear market like what we have right now. So I don't think that the share price is going to stay around this level for too long. I think I have puts in the July contracts. I don't remember which strike price, $7 I got. So yeah, let's see how that's gonna unfold. I can lose it all, so you know, something to consider. This chart is just a comparison between the 4 quantum stocks. I believe there are only 4. I think there are a few more, but these are the ones that I believe they are legit. So 4 companies in the quantum sector, and you can see here, you know, this is a chart that shows the returns, and you can see the decline as soon as Jensen Huang makes the comment, you know, 20 years is going to be possible. Which just tells you that the levels of speculation around these stocks, you know, people were wondering when to sell the profits. Well, that's a good cue. So I don't know, is that going to be the same for this mini bull run? I don't know. We'll see. In any case, this event happens on Thursday, 20th of March, between 5 and 7 p.m. So I will keep an eye on this. I don't know what's going to be. Is this going to be a debate? Is this going to be a presentation? I really don't know. In any case, it's live streamed. So that's good. You can see the other events. Some of them are not even recorded, so this one is a big one. Good. Let's move on. A lot of stuff. Let's keep the pace. So this was what I mentioned earlier. Taiwan Semiconductors pitched the Intel Foundry. Yeah. So a joint venture, to NVIDIA, AMD, and Broadcom. I have a summary of that news release. So essentially, Taiwan Semiconductors pitched a joint venture to NVIDIA, AMD, and Broadcom, where they will hold less than 50% stake in the venture. And this is key because this move aligns with the US government efforts, to strengthen the domestic semiconductor manufacturing. So Taiwan Semiconductor, they don't want the highest stake because that will go against, the Trump's initiative to, bring back and to control, especially to control the semiconductor manufacturing in the US. In regards to Intel, you probably know that net loss of 18.8 billion. It hurts to see that in 2024. The foundry division, the assets were valued at 108 billion as of December 31st. And that day, as I said earlier, March 12th, so NVIDIA stock blew up by 6% from the lows. And these lows were the lowest since the end of the summer of last year. So something to consider. Good, let's move on. We got this piece of news, which I believe is interesting. Of course, the agreement, even if NVIDIA and AMD, even if all these players they agree on the joint venture, the US government still has to approve. So it's going to be a complex, long process, and something to consider. Any news from this joint venture could jump the share price, if positive. Great. Good. Earnings. This part is interesting. So fiscal year 25, which is last year, we got the data center segment, which I believe is the most important one for NVIDIA. You have the quarter-over-quarter change and the year-over-year change. And you can see the values. I mean, the growth is spectacular, to say the least. Of course, it's slowing down because, do you see the values? I mean, we're talking about 35 billion in Q4 alone, only for the data center segment, leaving aside everything else. So you can see that growth is slowing down. However, it's still impressive. And moving on, you can see the actual results. So this is from Seeking Alpha. I absolutely love the website because they present this information pretty much in real time. And it's a very visual and easy way to interpret earnings. So you can see the performance in the fourth quarter. The company beat the consensus. And most importantly, the company beat the consensus for the next quarter. So for fiscal Q1 this year. Now, here's the thing. If I go back to the chart, just after earnings, so they beat the past performance in Q4, and they provided an outlook that was above the consensus among the top analyst firms. So the share price went down by 8%, which I don't know. Call me crazy, but things don't make really much sense in these bear markets. And of course, this was on February 28th. And that was when the S&P started to, go down the hill. So I believe the market is looking not at the stocks, but looking at the overall broader economy. So moving on, some excerpts from the earnings call that I think I liked, to be honest. So we have Blackwell sales alone were 11 billion for the quarter, and that's crazy. That's slightly less than the overall data center revenue, which is impressive. And what I find interesting about Blackwell is that the data center clusters that they're planning to deploy these GPUs are going to have 100,000 GPUs or more. So that's significant because just imagine the revenue for one cluster. It's quite significant. And shipments have already started for multiple infrastructures of this size. So you can imagine the size of an investment of the investment for these clusters. Great. Moving on. So Q4, we have large cloud service providers. Yeah, that represented about half of the data center revenue. So these sales increased about 2 times year over year. Not bad. And of course, the other half comes from enterprise revenue that increased again nearly twice year over year. And it's showing some demand for fine-tuning RAG and agentic AI. I think this is probably where the growth is going to come from in the future, because I believe enterprise revenue will surpass the revenue that comes from hyperscalers or these cloud service providers. And the reason is quite simple. Companies, particularly large corporations, are not really happy on sharing, secret data or proprietary data with a large language model that probably is going to host that information in a server outside of the organization. So they want to have everything inside. And I believe having a ton of GPUs locally and being able to manage everything locally, that will make sense for some of these companies, particularly the ones in defense or the ones that are not keen on, uploading data to ChatGPT, a PDF, and then you're wondering, where is that PDF going? Is it stored in our premises, or is it somewhere in Ireland, or I don't know. I think Ireland is the nearest one in Europe. I don't know. I don't know those details. In any case, let's move on. These are some of the financial results. Yeah, so this is the press release. You can see, of course, the impressive values. 16% increase in revenue for data center. That's crazy. And 93% year over year. What I wanted to highlight from this part, of course, they noted that demand was amazing, and they're ramping up the Blackwell series, and gross margins was actually the point I wanted to share with you. So 73% in Q4 25, which is less than in Q3 and significantly less than in Q4 last year. So this is 2023. It says fiscal 24, but that's the actual 23. This declining gross margins is not very attractive. Of course, management attributes this to the ramp up of the Blackwell series. And if we look at the next point, they say that when fully ramped, they expect gross margins to go back in the mid 70s by late this fiscal year. So essentially, they plan to go back to that 75 range, which I think it was the average exactly. When we look at fiscal 25, you can see there the gross margin, and that was the average for the year, 75%, which is very impressive. Great. Let's move on. So finally, at the GTC, as I said before, there are 2 products that they're going to present. They're going to present the Blackwell Ultra and the Vera Rubin, right? So they're going to provide more information, and that's the event that I said before on Tuesday 18th, 10 a.m. to 12 Pacific time. that's where the CEO is going to give more information on these two products. So yeah, I don't know. Could that be at the moment where everything sells off? I don't know. We'll see. Moving on, we have revenue. This is just an overview of the fundamentals. Yeah. So revenue increasing almost in the triple digits. Almost. It's slowing down. You can see these values in green are year over year. So you go from 265 to 77, which again is still impressive because we're talking about 40 billion in revenue at this growth rate. So that gives you an idea of the company. And everything follows. If we look at operating income, it's the same. Triple digit, going up. Net income is the same, going up, and it's almost in the triple digits. Cash flow, something I like to watch is free cash flows. I mean, just look at that. Yeah, I argue that figures are relatively flat in 24, but it's not something that will make me worried, to be honest. I like to see these fundamentals. And you can see the capex is quite small because operating and free cash flow is pretty much the same, pretty much. So it's not a capital intensive business. It is from a research and development perspective. Of course, if we look at R&D, R&D's got to be 4 billion almost. So it's a significant expense, but it's not, it's not something huge when compared to the free cash flows. In any case, the free cash flow takes into account already the R&D. So this was quite a stupid comparison. Right, let's move on. We have Manos AI. This is not the main reason I'm bearish on NVIDIA. So Manos AI is something to consider. It's one of these new Chinese algorithms that it didn't hit the headlines last weekend. So we're talking about March 10, not this weekend. However, it's something to consider because they have a beta, yeah, and for the beta results, they had a limited. Sorry, for the beta testing, they had a limited number of seats. So it seems that those seats were selling at $1,000 in the reselling market. So it created some buzz. At the end, yeah, I believe that we are in a bubble, but it's not like the bubbles that you see in 2003. So this is a bit different because there is a true use case for AI. And I truly believe we are in the early stages of the infrastructure investment. I think it was projected to be 2 trillion in the next 10 years. So we are in the very early stages. I do agree with that. However, valuations, they are a bit sky high, to say the least. So my point here is that in bubbles, there was a guy called Soros. You probably know him. He's the guy that was he named by, you will see in a moment. I think it's a quote. It's the guy that broke the Bank of England. Yeah. So we have that guy. You probably know him. He says a bubble gives you 3 great opportunities to make money. So you buy in, you short at the top, and you buy at the trough of disillusionment. In any case, I believe that this cycle is what we are seeing now with NVIDIA. So of course we had a very interesting bull run, even though with NVIDIA it was not the case since the elections. So since November 7, you can see it was at the very top. So I wouldn't say that after the elections, the stock blew up, but this thing increased its price quite considerably in the past years, and I believe the bubble is now popping, and particularly now with this event where you can see on what I believe is an irrational bid up prior to an announcement. The market is pricing in the positivity before that positivity is announced, which again, the positivity will be the Blackwell Ultra and the Rubin AI processor. So I believe once that is presented, even if everything is fine, again, like in guidance, yeah, so the guidance was positive. The guidance, the company beat both revenue, EPS, and both the outlook, yet the stock went down 8%. I think things are going to be very similar this week. I don't know. You know, you can never have such a high conviction with this kind of plays because they can blow up in your face. But if we look at the price action perspective, we have a support line at 100, and the share price hasn't sold off yet to this support level. And I don't know, it's a bear market overall, and I believe we will see this 100 before things start to recover. So I still think there is downside. I will finalize the video with some of the put options that I am considering. Again, not financial advice. Please don't follow this bet because it's going to blow up in your face and you're going to lose it all. So do not follow this. However, I am considering on Monday when the market opens these expiration dates for the put contracts. So for example, the expiration on April 11th, the 110 strike price would yield approximately 100%, over 100% if the price goes to 104. If it goes to that 100 support level by the mid of April, this could be 300%. Of course, it depends on many factors like implied volatility, you know, changes in this value modifies the return. So there are many factors to consider. However, there is some upside if the stock sells off and if the market doesn't do what, you know, the big guy analysts are saying that will happen. So that's my thesis. My thesis is that Blackwell Ultra will be amazing. You know, the new AI chip architecture will be perfect, and the market has already priced that in. So they will probably sell off. As to when, I'm not sure if it's going to be on Tuesday. The event spans up until Friday, I think. Is it Friday? I think it was Friday. I won't go into the exact details. Yes, 21st. So the 21st is on Friday. Any day between those days. In any case, thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you next one.